In this video, I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite multi-filament strings in no particular order. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Brody Taylor. I've been working in a tennis retail store for the past 7+ years, as well as I just recently got my MRT certification, which is essentially a fancy way of saying that I took a test, got approved, and I'm one of 560 people in the world that passed this thing, to where it says we understand what's going on when we talk about racket technology, string technology, and how those interact with you, the player, when you actually have them in your racket. So basically what I got here, 5 favorite strings of mine in multi-filaments that I've put either into people's rackets that I've used personally and that have worked out for other people in my experience, and I hope it helps you. Now, to start this off, basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a brief overview of what a multi-filament string is supposed to do and how it's going to help you. So if you're brand new to tennis or you've been playing for a while and you want something that is going to be a little bit more helpful with power, it's going to help give you a little bit more power out of your racket and your swing. It's going to be a little bit easier on your arm, so it can help to prevent tennis elbow or other injuries like that because it doesn't cause as much vibration or shock to come back into your arm. Then multi-filaments would probably be the best place to look, especially if you don't want to spend an extreme amount of money. The extreme amount of money version is natural gut, which of course is one of, if not the best string to actually help get rid of tennis elbow, give you power, be easier on your arm. However, most of the time it's around, for a good quality natural gut, at least $50 for one pack. And that can do one racket. So if you can avoid it, or you don't want to pay that much, multi-filaments are a great option to go with. So that brings me into this. Like I said, this is in no particular order. These are just how I'm organizing it to make it a little bit easier. The first one is going to be at number 5. This is a string called Vanquish. And that, I actually have a pack of it right here, is from Solinco. Now, the reason I like Solinco Vanquish is that it's not extremely expensive. I believe at the time of recording, this is about, I want to say $12.99 or $13.99, so it is definitely not a very expensive multi-filament. You'll see a few later, they do get to above $20, but Vanquish, pretty easy, pretty standard multi-filament. You get in your racket. Like I said, it's going to help you with power. It's going to help be a little bit easier on your arm. And I think Solinco, especially just because everyone knows Solinco Hyper-G, everyone knows Solinco Torbite, and a few of their other strings, which are starting to make more of a name for itself. I think Vanquish is a good option that isn't as well known, and I think it should be. So that's Solinco Vanquish. Now, going away from Vanquish, number 4, this is going to be a string called Sensation. Now, I do not have a pack of Sensation on me, but Wilson Sensation, that's the brand that makes it. This string has been around for quite a long time. It does sometimes come in a few Wilson rackets as a free string for you to just go out, try with it, see what you think about it. And that's where I think Sensation is a very nice starting out multi-filament, just because it is, again, just like Vanquish and multi-filaments in general, pretty easy on the arm, pretty powerful, but it's not going to be as expensive. You're usually looking, I think, about $10.95, maybe even $11.99, depending on where the pricing of Solinco is at currently. So, not Solinco, Sensation. So with Sensation, I would say, especially with it being able to come in a few different gauges, the most common being 16 gauge or 1.30 millimeters, as well as the 17 gauge, which it is a little bit even easier on your arm, a little bit thinner. So if you are wanting a little bit more help with spin, that's where the 17 gauge comes in. That's where I think Sensation falls. And I've had many people have great success with Sensation, especially if they're starting out or they just want to try something for the very first time. Sensation is a great one to go with. Now, number 3, you then have one called Head Velocity. And actually, I have one of those right here. Head Velocity. I know the package is a little damaged, but I was probably about to string with it, but then I was like, not today. But Head Velocity, as you can see on the package, there's all of those different multi-filaments surrounding here in the middle, and then you have a little bit of an extra core material or just a few other things wrapping around it. And the thing about Velocity is that it has a little bit of an extra coating onto the string itself. Now, this extra coating is going to help allow the string to be a little bit more crisp. So it may not be the most easy on the arm multi-filament, but it is going to be a little bit more durable from my experience, as well as a little bit more powerful as well. So if you're wanting a multi-filament that is going to last a little bit longer, as well as give you a little bit of that extra boost and that extra kick when you're actually hitting, that's where I think Velocity comes in, especially since I think it's also about like $9.95 a pack at times, as well as maybe $10.99. It's not as expensive as some of the other ones, and especially for it being a little bit more powerful, I think that's where Velocity kind of gets a little bit of an edge up before we go into the strings that are $20 or more, which one of those is going to be next. And that is going to be the Wilson NXT. And funny enough, right here, Wilson NXT. Now, the Wilson NXT, this has been around for quite a while, just like Sensation. Most all of these have been around. They've been around the block. They're tried and true. People know them. And if you don't, you do now. So Wilson NXT, you're essentially thinking of like the upgraded version of Wilson Sensation. It is even easier on the arm, even more powerful, and it's going to last a little bit longer just because they do use a little bit better material in the NXT to actually give it that little bit of an elasticity boost, as well as just a little bit more longevity. NXT you can use it as a full bed, because it is going to come in a few different colors if you like it. There's like this pack that I had right here. This is NXT Orange, or you have the natural color, which most other multi-filaments come in, as well as with the NXT. A lot of Wilson strings, if you look at them, especially their pre-packaged hybrids, use a version of NXT. Now, there are a few different versions. There's regular NXT like I have here. There is NXT Power. There's NXT Soft. There is, I think it's called NXT Duramax, or it's just a more durable version of NXT. So it's a very versatile string, but the OG tried and true NXT, that is the one where I would say is going to shine the most and can be used in the most different situations. Now, even though that is number 2, there is one more down here, and that is going to be called X1 Byphase. Now, X1 Byphase, this is a Technofiber string, the first Technofiber we have here on the list. This is about the same price as the NXT. These are both around the $21 to $22 price range. And I personally found that X1 Byphase is just a little bit easier on the arm and a little bit more powerful than NXT in itself. But Byphase also does have a little bit of a different way to go about using it in your rackets compared to NXT. While NXT has a lot of different versions of it, like I said, Soft, Power, I want to say Duramax again. Don't remember that one off the top of my head. But Byphase, you have the ability not only to get the 16 gauge and the 17 gauge, which is pretty standard for most multi-filaments, but you can also go down, I believe, to an 18 gauge as well. So most multi-filaments you usually don't see at an 18 gauge, which is pretty interesting, but it's because if you go too thin on these, even though you are going to help get a little bit more access to spin and a little bit more access to power, a little bit more access to feel, you're going to break it a lot quicker. And these strings already are not the most durable type of string, which arguably would be polyester. But these things are not trying to be polyester. They're trying to be multi-filaments. They're trying to be easier on your arm, save your arm, allow you to keep playing more and more and more without having to worry about getting injured. And that's where with Byphase going down to the 18 gauge, as well as having the 16 and 17 gauge options, I think is a pretty good one to actually just put into your racket, especially if you are wanting something that's going to be a little bit better for your arm. That's where I really think Byphase shines, and that's why I really do like this string, especially if someone has tried a few of these other ones before and they're like, I just don't know what else to do, but I don't want to go to natural gut. So, with that being said, those are my 5. Now, there is an honorable mention I do want to say, and that one up here, this is going to be, it's called Triax. Now, Triax is also a Technofiber string as well. The one thing about Triax is the fact that this is essentially the closest I have seen to getting into a polyester string, but still being a multifilament. And what I mean by that is that Triax has the core, or like the base material used in the string around it, is a polyester core. So it is a little bit stiffer, it is a little bit harder, it's a little bit more durable. However, they wrapped everything around this core with a whole bunch of multifilaments in order to make it much easier on the arm than traditional polyester strings. Now, there is the debate about whether or not Triax is a little bit easier on the arm versus, say, like a soft version of a polyester, and that is still up for debate because I haven't tried both against each other yet myself. But with Triax, if you are looking for a multifilament that's going to be a little bit more spin friendly as well as a little bit more durable, that's where you can find something that's like Triax to actually try that in your racket, see what you think, and just go about figuring out if this is actually good for you, or if you maybe want to go up to the soft version of a polyester string. So, with those being said, that is essentially my list. These are the 5 multifilaments, or 5 of my favorite multifilaments to help people with in their rackets. I hope these do serve you well. If you like the video, leave a like on it. Comment down below any more questions you have about multifilament strings or some of your favorite multifilaments as well. I can't wait to hear what you think. Can't wait to hear what you say about them. What do you like playing in your racket? Let me know. As well as subscribe to the channel so we can grow the channel, get the information out there from the people that have it to the people that need it. There's a lot of tennis misinformation in the tennis community, so I took it upon myself to make this channel so we can get rid of that and enjoy the game of tennis we all love so much more without having to worry about injury from our gear. So, with that being said, as always, take care.